Pondering Psalms. I'm Curt Austin. I am with my friend David Mullins. Okay, so I'm not. It's Curt Austin alone. Dave is on a much-needed vacation. He needed to get out of town. So there's some legal implications to this I just am not allowed to share, but it's good that he's able to have time with his family, time with his wife, and praying for him that he's renewed by the opportunity to be away. So in the meantime, I'm going to try and tackle this on my own. Welcome to Pondering Psalms. My name is Curt Austin. If you've never joined us before, then this is not going to seem different to you. However, if you've been watching any of our prior episodes, we started in Psalm 69, and my friend Dave Mullins is not with me today. It's a solo show. Dave is on vacation, much needed, much deserved, and so we're going to let him do that, and we're going to keep pushing ahead. So today we're talking about Psalm 69 or 90. We started with Psalm 69 several weeks ago, and the goal of Pondering Psalms is to study one psalm every day for a week. And so that's what we've been trying to do, and then we get together and we talk about it at the end of the week, maybe what stood out, maybe what was interesting about that. Our shows so far have been running about 20 minutes, and so if you take one of us away, it should only last about 10 minutes, is my guess, maybe even less than that, given the fact that he and I go back and forth quite often. So we're tackling Pondering Psalm 90 today, and so I've tried to do a little bit of work on the slide itself, not as slick as Dave's option, but we're going to make it work. So Psalm 90 is a prayer of Moses, the man of God. Now, with like many of these, it may not be written by Moses. It may be attributed to Moses, but you know that's okay. The idea is that he was a man of God. He was a holy man, and this kind of reflects maybe some of his beliefs, some of his lessons that he passed down. So let's go ahead and just dive right in. Lord, you have been our dwelling place throughout all generations before the mountains were born, or you brought forth the whole world from everlasting to everlasting. You are God. Love that. That's actually the title of this psalm. If you look into your Bible, it probably says from everlasting to everlasting. This is the NIV that we're reading from today. You may have a slightly different version in yours, but I think that's a great place to start as the psalmist is writing this, kind of just setting it up. I mean, you were there before. You will be there after, and you are God in the midst of that. It's really a good reminder of who we're studying about and who it is that we're praising because of this psalm. Beginning in verse 3, you turn people back to dust, saying, "Return to dust, you mortals. 1,000 years in your sight is like a day that's just gone by, or like a watch in the night. Yet you sweep people away in the sleep of death. They are like the new grass of the morning. In the morning it springs up new, but by evening it's dry and withered." Now let's stop there with verse 6. 3 to 6 really is pretty interesting. You turn people back to dust. I saw a meme on Facebook this week that I thought was pretty good. We come from dust. We return to dust. Therefore I never dust, because it might be somebody I know. And so I thought that was pretty powerful. Something to remember. So we return to dust, you mortals. That's what God says. And the thing is, I mean, it's a contrast, right? In verses 1 and 2, he's talking about how everlasting to everlasting you are God. And what are we? We're dust. We're mortals. I mean, you sweep them away in the sleep of death. There's nothing about our lives that is grandiose in the bigger scheme of things. In fact, when you compare ourselves to God, who was creating before the mountains ever were, before the world was formed, that's the God that we serve. And so it's putting us in perspective of who it is that we're alongside. So look what he says then in verse 7. This is the psalm the psalm writing that we kind of have come to know and love since we started with 69 and we're moving into 90 is that this is a God. The psalmists often write that you are a God that is consumed. We are consumed by your anger. We're terrified of your indignation. You've set our iniquities before you, our secret sins in the light of your presence. All our days pass away under your wrath. We finish our years with a moan. Now, this is interesting. We had a conversation this week, a group of friends and I and my wife. We were talking about our image of God, and I think this is maybe one of the places where this pops up. The number of people who have an image of God, where when you die and you go before God, that He's going to have this big screen, and everybody's going to see all of the secret sins, right, are going to be made light. They're going to come to light. They're going to be made known to everybody who's there in heaven watching, and they're going to see this. And so there's a lot of shame involved. There's a lot of sorrow about what it is, because there are things that you've thought, things that you've said under your breath, things that you said out loud that you wish no one had ever heard. You don't want those relived, right? We want that to be done. And the beautiful thing is, at least if you look at it in the context of Christ, the Messiah, Jesus coming, is all of that is gone. We don't have to stand before God with all of those shown, because Christ's death for us wipes those away. It's as if they never happened. And so God doesn't want to see our sins. God has, through the blood of Christ, wiped those away for us. And so that's really good news. But when you're reading this, still, Moses is still thinking about this, or the writer of this is still thinking, you know what? I mean, everything we do, all of our life, every single day, is subject to your anger, subject to your wrath. And so he's writing in that context. Verse 10, our days may come to 70 years, right? 70 or 80, it's give or take. And if our strength endures, that's if our strength endures. Yet the best of them are trouble and sorrow, for they quickly pass and we fly away. This is a pretty pessimistic view about life. Let's keep 10 up there, and we'll look at 11 and 12. Our days may come to 70 or 80 if our strength endures, yet the best of them are but trouble and sorrow. I've had some pretty tough days, but I don't consider those the best. Now, maybe if we put that in the context of what he says later, the opportunity to be in God's presence. But your wrath is great. We fear you. We really need to understand, God, how to take advantage of the days that we have. Verse 12, teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. So the author is, he said, God is great. We're hardly anything at all. And anything we do experience is just pain and suffering. I mean, because you have this wrath and this power, this anger. So maybe the only thing we can do is just to take advantage of the fact that we have in mind, so that we make the most of them. The best thing we can do is to gain a heart of wisdom. So when you're thinking about that, so then you look at verse 13, relent, O Lord, how long will it be? Have compassion on your servants, satisfy us in the morning with your unfailing love, that we may sing for joy and be glad all our days. I love this. So look at, let's do 13. Relent, O Lord. So he's acknowledging that days can be pretty tough, but you know what? God, let up a little bit. I mean, how long do we have to suffer? Have a little bit of compassion for us. Those of us who call us ourselves your servant. And I like this. What a great way to start your day, satisfied in the morning with God's unfailing love. I think that's probably another reason why so many times we're encouraged to start your day with prayer and praise and preparing your heart, because it sets a tone for the entire day. If you satisfy in the morning with your unfailing love, then we can sing for joy and be glad every one of those days. right? Make us glad as many days as you have afflicted us. So again, he's a little negative Nelly. It was like, look, we've suffered this much. At least give us a few days of good stuff. All right. And make us glad for those days. May your deeds be shown to your servants, your splendor to their children. This is a recurring theme in the Psalms. We want to remember all of the things you've done for us, God. We want our children to understand that. They need to understand how great you are. Show it to them. Let them know. Let all of our children know the story. And then verse 17, he wraps it up. May the favor of the Lord our God rest on us. Establish the work of our hands for us. Yes, establish the work of our hands. So this psalm is kind of all over the place as far as greatness. We're dust. We do nothing but suffer. But God, you could make things better if you wanted. If you relented just a little bit, if we would start our day with a little bit of your grace, then everything would be better. In fact, God, would you just give us your favor? Would it just rest on us? I think this is a great psalm. I love this psalm. From everlasting to everlasting, thou art God. A great little memory verse to have when you're going through hard times, tribulation. Start with that. From everlasting to everlasting, thou art God. Or if you want to use modern day English, you're the man, right? Beginning, end, you're the guy. And we're thankful for that. And then end it with, may the favor of the Lord rest on us. God, can you just pour that out on our heart, on our mind, on our soul? The favor of the Lord, that you can take what it is we do today, whether it's at work or with our family or whether it's school, whatever it is we're doing. Can you take what we're doing and can you establish that? Can you imagine? God, this is the same God, I'm sorry, not to belittle, the same God who created the mountains, the same God who created the earth. Can you also create what we do today? I mean, that's exciting. I mean, that's really, really cool to think that the same God can be speaking into our day-to-day existence. We'll then bring about psalms and praise, but also God is helping guide what it is we do. What we do in our hands, with our hands, God can establish that. I think this is really an encouraging word for us. And I just want to hope that you've been able to ponder this a little this week, that maybe it said something to you. We want you to look in our YouTube channel. There may be some others there that may encourage you as well. And we want to just invite you to read along, to think about it. Next week, we'll be doing Psalm 91. Dave will be back, and we will look at this together. And that God will establish the work of your hands in this next week, that somehow the prayers of the Psalms, the psalmists, as they're writing that, will actually touch your heart, move you into a new place, and allow you to follow God, serve God fully because of his grace and his blessing on your life. Well, this is the end of this. If Dave were here, he would have so many more insights. Next week, I'm going to let him do all the talking. He's deserved it. So, in a bad way. He deserved to have to talk the whole time in the bad way. So, have a great week. Remember, we're starting today reading Psalm 91. Read it every day of the week, and then we'll see you back here in about 7 days, and we can talk about that. Have a great day.